All right, shalom, brothers and sisters. It's time to share. I want to get right into it. Um, I'm going to start off in Revelation. I'm going to be out of the Tyndale Bible. Um, it says the way on this Bible, but it's a Tyndale Bible, at least from the publishing house. All right, so Revelation 13 and 10 in the King James Version first, it says, He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right. And so I'm going to read this out of the Tyndale Bible. All right. It reads, Listen carefully. The people of the Most High who are destined for prison will be arrested and taken away. Those destined for death will be killed. All right, I'm going to read the note. It says, If anyone imprisons you, Israel, he will be imprisoned. If anyone kills you, he will be killed. All right. So I'm going to read it again. It says, The people of the Most High, of God, who are destined for prison will be arrested and taken away. Those destined for death will be killed. But do not be dismayed. Don't be afraid. For here is your opportunity for endurance and confidence. Confidence in who? Man, the Most High. So, a lot of people like to uh, quote the scripture, right? And they say, He that leadeth into captivity, slavery, shall go into slavery. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Well, who led who into captivity? And who did it first? Right? Everybody knows the world comes from black, so-called black people, right? Uh, so, again, it says, He that leaveth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right. So, you hear people say, um, Africans sold slaves. All right, Africans were selling Africans. We sold our own people into slavery. But who did the Africans have in slavery? They was selling Hebrews, okay? And it was the Arabs, all right? The Ishmaelites. They sold our people too, right? Um, let's see. The Jews had slaves. The Jewish people had slaves. Giants had slaves. Um, the Africans sold Hebrews. All right. The Arabs, Islam, and had slaves. Christianity had slaves. All right. The Nephilim have slaves. Fallen angels and Satan had slaves. All right. So my question is, who enslaved people first? All right. There's history in the Bible, and the Bible is true. And so we're going to check that out. Did Hebrews have slaves? Let's check that out. It might be a different slavery, but let's check that out. And we can't forget, out of all the white man, the Edomites, they had slaves. All right. But again, scripture said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. So let's go to Jeremiah 34. No, let's go to Exodus 21 first. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do this right. Exodus 21. It says, here are other laws you must obey. And it was talking to Israel. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve only 6 years and be freed. In the 7th year, and need pay nothing to regain his freedom. If he sold himself as a slave before he married, then if he married afterwards, only he shall be freed. But if he was married before he became a slave, then his wife shall be freed with him at the same time. But if his master gave him a wife while he was a slave, and they have sons or daughters, the wife and children shall still belong to the master or Lord, and he shall go out by himself free. But if the man shall plainly declare, I prefer my master, my Lord, my wife, and my children, and I would rather not go free, then his master, his boss, his Lord, shall bring him before the judges, the court, and shall publicly bore his ear, pierce his ear with an awl, and after that he will be a slave forever. If a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not be freed at the end of 6 years, as the men are. If she does not please the man who brought her, then he shall let her be brought back again, but he has no power to sell her to foreigners, since he has wronged her by no longer wanting her after marrying her. And if he arranges an engagement between a Hebrew slave girl and his son, then he may no longer treat her as a slave girl, but must treat her as a daughter. If he himself marries her, then takes another wife, he may not reduce her food or clothing, or fail to sleep with her as his wife. If he fails in any of these 3 things, then she may leave freely without any payment. All right. And I'm going to leave it there. Okay. So those were some laws concerning um, other laws that they must obey concerning people, or having Hebrews having slaves. All right. Now let's go to Jeremiah 34. So there was a time in history that um, they released the slaves, but they said no, we need the slaves, right? Pharaoh did it, so did America, uh, and the people who started the planet, right? Okay, so we're gonna read this. So let me get I said Jeremiah 34. All right. And I don't have a particular verse, right? But yeah, let's just start with 34. It says, "This is the message that came to Jeremiah from the Most High when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army from all the kingdoms he ruled came and fought against Jerusalem and the cities of Judah." It says, "Go tell Zedekiah, king of Judah, that the Most High says this: I will give this city to the king of Babylon." To what? To the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it. You shall not escape. You shall be captured and taken before the king of Babylon. And he shall pronounce, he's going to pronounce a sentence against you, and you shall be exiled to Babylon. But listen to this, O Zedekiah, king of Judah. The Most High says you won't be killed in war and carnage, but that you will die quietly among your people, and they will burn incense in your memory, just as they did for your fathers. They will weep for you and say, "Ah, our king is dead," or president. "This I have decreed," says the Most High. So Jeremiah delivered the message to King Zedekiah. At this time, the Babylonian army was attacking Jerusalem, Lachish, and Azekah, the only walled cities of Judah still standing. This is the message that came to Jeremiah from the Most High after King Zedekiah of Judah had freed all the slaves. Zedekiah freed all the slaves in Jerusalem, for King Zedekiah had ordered everyone to free his Hebrew slaves. He required them to free their Hebrew slaves, Israelite slaves, both men and women. He had said that no Jew, no Israelite, no Hebrew should be the master, the Lord of another Israelite or Hebrew. For all were brothers. We are all brothers. We shouldn't have no Lord nor master. The only master that should be over us is our high priest, which is Christ, the Son of the Most High, is the only one that should be over us. Right? Alright. The head of every man is the Most High, Christ. Alright. But anyway, so Zedekiah freed the Hebrew slaves. It says, "The princes and all the people had obeyed the king's command and freed their slaves." They did what? They freed their slaves, their servants, their maids. But the action was only temporary. It was only what? Temporary? Wow. They changed their minds and made their servants slaves again. Now we need to think about, when did that happen in history? Did it happen when Abraham, I mean not Abraham, but yeah, Abraham Lincoln supposedly freed the slaves? Hmm. History's repeating itself. So it says, "The princes and all the people had obeyed the king's command and freed their slaves, but the action was only temporary." Don't that sound familiar? Pharaoh let the people go and got upset that he let the people go. Did that not happen with the Israelites? This is the Israelites, though, freeing their slaves. All right. So the king's command, and they obeyed the king's command and freed their slaves, but the action was only temporary, only for a moment. They changed their minds and made their servants slaves again. They did what? Made them slaves again. And that is why the Most High gave the following message to Jerusalem. What kind of message do you think he gave to them? So when the attack was going on at this time, temporarily lifted, they became bold and returned to their sins, to the evil that they were doing. And we're going to check that out a little bit, in a little bit. Um, no, let's look at it now. We're going to go to 37, read 6 and 11. Um, Jeremiah 37, 6. And it reads, Then the Most High sent this message to Jeremiah. The Most High, the God of Israel, the highest, the Ancient of Days of Israel, says, Tell the king of Judah, who sent you to ask me what is going to happen, that Pharaoh's army, though it came here to help you, Pharaoh's army came to help you, is about to return and fight in a flight to Egypt. So the Most High said, Tell the king of Judah, Zedekiah, who sent you to ask me what's going to happen. What's going to happen? That Pharaoh's army, though it came here to help you, to aid you, to support you, the National Guards, to help you, is about to return in flight to Egypt. The Babylonians shall defeat them. The who? The Babylonians, Iraqians, Babylon, America, shall defeat them and send them scurrying home. All right. These Babylonians shall capture this city and burn it to the ground. Don't fool yourselves that the Babylonians are gone for good. Don't think that these people are gone for good. Whoever these invaders are. It says the Babylonians, but I'm talking about modern day. So it says, don't fool yourselves that the Babylonians are gone for good. They aren't. Even if you destroyed the entire Babylonian army until there was only a handful of survivors and they lay wounded in their tents, yet they would stagger out and defeat you and put this city to the torch. All right. Come back to this, but I wanted to read that part. All right. So going back to 34. All right. And we go back to 10. It says the princes and all the people had obeyed the king's command and freed their slaves, but the action was only temporary. It's only for a little while. They changed their minds and made their servants slaves again. That is why the Most High gave the following message to Jerusalem. The Most High, the power of Israel, says, I made an agreement with your fathers. He made a covenant long ago in ancient time when I brought them from their slavery, from their captivity in Egypt, in bondage, Mizraim. I told them that every Hebrew slave, he said, what? I told them every Hebrew slave must be freed after serving 6 years. But this was not done. It didn't happen. They didn't do it. They didn't perform what the Most High said. Recently, you began doing what was right as I commanded you and freed your slaves. You had solemnly promised me in my temple that you swore and promised in my temple sanctuary. All right. House, church, tent, that you would do it. You said that you would do it. But now you refuse, you don't want to, and have defiled my name by shrugging off your oath, your promise, and have made them slaves again. Who did that? Pharaoh did that. America did that. And who? The Hebrews did that. Therefore, says the Most High, because you will not listen to me, because you didn't what? Listen to me and release them. I will release you. The Most High is going to release you to what? To the power of death. What is the power of death? It says by war, conflict, battle, fighting. So he's going to release you, the Israelites, to the power of death by war and famine, no food, and disease. Famine. Famine of the word, famine of free speech, famine of no food, and disease. Plague, HIV, Dovik, uh, all kind of plagues and diseases. And I will scatter you over all the world as exiles, because you have refused the terms of our contract. You broke the agreement. I will cut you apart just as you cut apart the calf when you walk between its halves, to solemnize your vows, to confirm your vows, your promises, your oaths. Yes, I will butcher you, whether you are princes, so rulers, court officials, judges, presidents, right? Politicians, priests, doctors, pastors, or people, citizens. For you have broken your oath. I will give you to your enemies, to your enemies. Psalms 83. And it goes even deeper than that. I will give you to your enemies, and they shall kill you. I will feed your dead bodies to the vultures and wild animals. And I will surrender Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his officials to the army of the king of Babylon. Though he has departed from this city for a little while, he ran for a little while. I will call the Babylonian armies, the invaders, back again, and they will fight against it and capture this city and burn it. And I will see to it that the cities of Judah, wherever Judah lived, are completely destroyed and left desolate without a living soul. Without a living soul. Mm, mm, mm. So, uh, the scripture says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right. Who led who into captivity? All right. And don't get simple. Yes, we were led into captivity by Esau, but who allowed it? The Most High, right? He allowed it. And slavery was a choice, because if you obey the law, statute, commandments, you were able to keep it, right? What would have happened? Christopher Columbus wouldn't have came over there. The white man wouldn't have been whooping your butt, all right? And if Egypt was so powerful and had all these gods and was strong, whatever, how could they just come over there and do what they were going to do? They did what was going to do because the Most High already spoken it, you know what I mean? And his word don't come back void. So, when Kanye said slavery was a choice, you did have a choice. Follow law, statutes, and commandments, not worship other gods, but the children of Israel did it. And so he sent the white man to come spank you, right? And all the other nations as well. When we start learning their ways. And we went off. Anytime we're in sin, we could be taken down, like it says in Judah. So, anyway, Hebrews had slaves. All right. And he that leadeth into captivity will go into captivity. And so people look at, I was just wanting to go back to when Abraham Lincoln supposedly freed the slaves. He didn't do that. The Most High uh, allowed them to do that. The Most High will use your enemies to do whatever he wants to. He has the power to sway the king's heart left or right. All right. And so, even with Pharaoh, he made Pharaoh's heart harden. He could turn it the other way. So, I'm just saying it happened again, and this proves that the scriptures are true, right? And that's why they weren't allowed to let us be free, because what we did in the past, we had our own people uh, in a form of servitude, captivity. All right. And we were supposed to let them free, as we read. But we didn't let them free after the 6 years. And so, just like Pharaoh uh, um, didn't want to let us go, Babylon don't want to let us go. All right. I don't think any place want to let us go. All right. Because we're the apple of the Most High's eye. All right. You think Hashtan, Satan want to let us go? Nah. So anyway, let's go into some more. Now let's just go ahead and go into. Let's go into. Let's read 37:7 again. It says, the Most High, the God of Israel, Ahia, says, tell the king of Judah, who called you to ask me what is going to happen, that Pharaoh's army, though it came here to help you, to give you a vaccine, though Pharaoh's army came here to aid you, give you stimulus, um, help you move containers, uh, uh, is about to return in flight to Egypt. The Babylonians shall defeat them and send them scurrying home. These Babylonians shall capture this city and burn it to the ground. Don't fool yourselves that the Babylonians are gone for good. They aren't. Even if you destroy the entire Babylonian army, these invaders that are coming here in the future, until there was only a handful of survivors and they lay wounded in their tents, still they will stagger out. They're going to come out and defeat you, Babylon, and put this city to the torch. All right. When the Babylonian army set out for Jerusalem to engage Pharaoh's army in battle, Jeremiah started to leave the city. He was getting ready to leave to go to the land of Benjamin to see the property he had brought. But as he was walking through the Benjamite gate, a sentry arrested him as a traitor. They arrested him as a traitor, claiming he was defecting to the Babylonians. The guard making the arrest was Arijah, son of Shemaiah, grandson of Hananiah. That is not true, Jeremiah said. I have no intention whatsoever of doing any such thing. When he was getting ready to leave, to flee. Jeremiah was arrested so he couldn't flee. That's what's going to happen to some of us. But our Arjah wouldn't listen. He took Jeremiah before the city's officials. They were incensed with Jeremiah. They was upset and had him beat and put into the dungeon under the house of Jonathan the scholar, the scribe, which had been converted into a prison. Jeremiah was kept there for several days, but eventually King Zedekiah sent for him to come to the palace secretly. The king asked him if there was any recent message from the Most High. Yes, said Jeremiah, there is. You shall be defeated by the king of Babylon, of America, the president. All right. Which president? I don't know. Then Jeremiah broached the subject of his imprisonment. What have I ever done to deserve this? He asked the king, what crime have I committed? Tell me what I have done against you or your officials or the people. Where are those prophets now who told you that the king of Babylon would not come? Oh, invaders are going to come to Babylon, America. Listen, oh my lord and king, I beg you, don't send me back to that dungeon, for I'll die there. The king Zedekiah commanded that Jeremiah not be returned to the dungeon, but placed in the palace prison instead, and they and that he be given a small loaf of fresh bread every day, as long as there were any left in the city. So Jeremiah was kept in the prison. In the palace prison. All right, and it's even more on that, but I'm gonna leave it there. All right. All right, so Jeremiah warned uh, Zedekiah, um, and his officials and men were upset. Uh, um, what he was telling the people. All right, and I'm gonna read it real quick. It says in 38. It says Jeremiah had been telling the people that everyone remaining in Jerusalem would die by the sword. He was not lying. Starvation, famine, or disease, the plague, Dovik, or anyone surrendering to the Babylonians would live. Right? But anyone surrendering, deliver themselves up, give themselves up to the Babylonians would live. The invaders that were coming would live, and that the city of Jerusalem would surely be captured. It's going to be taken. Babylon is going to be taken. It's going to be destroyed by the king of Babylon. They went to the king and said, Sir, this fellow must die, because he was speaking the truth, that America is going to be destroyed. Babylon was going to, Jerusalem. That kind of talk will undermine the morale of the few soldiers we have left, and of all the people too, and that's in American Babylon. This man is a traitor. All right. So King Zedekiah agreed. All right, he said, do as you like. I can't stop you. All right. So in them mistreating Jeremiah survives this, right? And everything went down just like Jeremiah said. Okay. And so let's go on. And scriptures also say, just like it was just saying, uh, if you don't want to serve the king of Babylon, prepare to be destroyed. Because why? The Most High already declared that, hey, if you don't surrender, you're going to be destroyed. If you're going to fight them, it's not going to work. You're going to have to surrender. All right? Or you'll die by the sword, starvation, famine, or disease, the plague. So, uh, um, by a sword, weapon, starvation, no food, because you can't buy or sell, or disease, plague, or shot, comply to a shot. But anyone surrendering to the Babylonians would live. So a lot of people don't want to serve Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. And it reminds me of modern day. Nobody wanted to serve Trump. Nobody want to serve Biden. Right? And we know we should obey God rather than man. And we know that the scriptures say, uh, uh, comply with the government. I'm just paraphrasing. But we should obey God rather than men, like Daniel, and stand, right? And not take the mark of the beast, right? And keep using our free speech because the Most High made man's mouth. All right? So, the Most High always puts us ahead of the game and lets us know what's going to go down. And all the people that stayed were destroyed. And definitely Zedekiah, he got his eyes put out. Well, he saw his sons get hanged, and his eyes got put out. All right? And it happened just like Jeremiah said. And I see Jeremiah in full effect. Also, other scriptures, Isaiah in full effect. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's see what happens when you don't let the people go. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Pharaoh is a type. Rome, America, and Satan also is a type of uh, um, not letting the people go. Definitely America, right? Um, uh, and so wasn't Egypt destroyed? So will Babylon be the devil, the false prophet, and the Antichrist, and all his demons, and Nephilim, and giants, mermaids, whatever you want, fallen angels, will be destroyed. And hell will enlarge itself by all the citizens and the people that go against the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I cut a lot of this because I was going to read the whole thing, but let's just go ahead and get it. Let's get Exodus. What happens when you don't let the people go? And we know America's not going to do it. And history repeats itself. So Exodus 3 and verse 7. And it says, then the Most High told him, he's talking to Moses, I have seen the deep sorrows of my people, the depression in Egypt, of my people in Egypt, in bondage, captivity. And I heard their pleas in Mizraim for freedom from their harsh taskmasters. Who's our taskmasters? Bosses, uh, uh, politicians, all right? Harsh taskmasters, governors, rulers. I have come to deliver them from the Egyptians, the Hamites, and to take them out of Egypt, bondage, Mizraim, slavery, into a good land. What? A good land. A large land. A land flowing with milk and honey. The land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites live. Yes, they wail. The Israelites cry. The wail of the people of Israel. the Hebrews have risen to me in heaven, in the sky, and I have seen the heavy task, the burden, the Egyptians and Hamites have oppressed them with. Now I am going to send, that means call you to Pharaoh, Moses, Israelites. He's going to call us and send us to Pharaoh, to who? Modern day Pharaoh here. It would be Babylon, all right, to demand that he let you lead my people out of Egypt, out of bondage, out of captivity, out of slavery, right? This is going to happen again. I'm reading it different, but it says, now I'm going to send you to Pharaoh to command that he let you lead my people out of Egypt. All right? But he says, Moses, but I'm not the person for a job like that, Moses said. Then the Most High told him, I will certainly be with you. Don't worry, I'm going to be there. And this is the proof that I am the one who's calling you. When you have led the people out of Egypt, slavery, bondage, captivity, America, you will worship the Most High here upon this mount. All right. I'm going to jump down to 12. To 18. Verse 18. The elders of the people of Israel will accept your message. They must go with you to the king of Egypt, to the king of bondage, slavery, and tell him, the highest, the ancient of days, the most high, the Lord of spirits, Ahiah, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us and instructed us. He taught us to go 3 days' journey into the desert to sacrifice to him. Give us your permission. Allow us to do it. Think they're going to do that? No. But I know that the king of Egypt, right, bondage, will not let you go except under heavy pressure. That's what the Most High said. So guess what? He's going to put heavy pressure on Pharaoh, just like he put heavy pressure on the Israelites to free the Hebrew slaves. All right? That didn't let their slaves go after 6 years. Okay? That told them, you're free temporarily, and then wanted them to come back. Just like they say so-called Abraham Lincoln did in America. Oh, you're free. Oh, but you're really not free. You're 3/5 of a man. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go except under heavy pressure. So I'm going to apply pressure. Say, apply pressure. Most High apply pressure. So I will give him all the pressure he needs. Oh, yes. Disease, famine, war. It's coming. I will give him all the pressure he needs. All right. And not false flags. He gonna apply real pressure. All right. I will destroy Egypt. I will destroy the slavery, the captivity, Egypt, America, with my miracles. And then at last, at the end, he will let you go. He said at the end, he will let you go. And I will see to it that the Egyptians, the Hamites, or the Americans, whoever you want to call, the Ashkenazis, the Amalekites, he said, I will see to it that the Egyptians, right, load you down with gifts when you leave, so that you will by no means go out empty handed. We're not going to leave empty handed, folks. All right. Says the Most High. Let's go to Exodus 4:21. And it says, the Most High told him, Moses, when you arrive back in Egypt, uh, bondage, you are to go to Pharaoh, the president, the king, whoever it may be, and do the miracles I have shown you. There's going to be miracles done in America, but I will make him stubborn. I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. He's not going to do what? Let the people go. Then you are to tell him, Ahiah says, or the Most High, Yah says, Israel is my eldest son. Israel is what? Is my eldest son. Jacob is my eldest son, and I have commanded, I am demanding you, let him go away and worship me. He's commanding Satan, Hashtan, let him go away and worship me. But you have refused, Satan, and now, see, I will slay your eldest son. Talking about Pharaoh. But it says, I will slay your eldest son. Maybe Hunter Biden. But anyway, let me stop. Alright. I will slay your oldest son. Alright. So let's go to Exodus 5 and 9. Exodus 5, verse 9. You gotta prophesy these things, their downfall. It says, Exodus 5 and 9. Well, no, I'm going to read 5. I'm going to start at 5. After this presentation to the elders, Moses and Aaron went to see Pharaoh. They went to see Pharaoh. They told him, we bringing you a message from the highest, Ahiah, the one that be who he be, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He says, let my people go. He said, what? Let my people go, for they must make a holy pilgrimage out into the wilderness. We go into a wilderness a second time. For a religious feast, for a holy day, to worship me there, says Ahiah. Is that so? Retorted Pharaoh. This fool. This fool said, is that so? Sound like Biden or Trump. And who is the highest? Who is the most high? That I should listen to him. What? And let Israel go. Let Jacob's children go. The children of Israel. I don't know the Most High, and I will not let Israel go, says Pharaoh, the king, the president. All right. He said, I will not let Israel go. The northern and the southern kingdom, he's not going to let us go. But Aaron and Moses persisted. They continued. The highest, the God, the power of the Hebrews, the Most High, has met with us. They declared, they announced. Nobody believed. We must take 3 days trip in the wilderness and sacrifice, give their gifts to our power, Ahiah. And if we don't obey him, the Ancient of Days, the Lord of Spirits, we face death by plague. We would face death by plague, dovik, or sword, weapon. Why do you think you are? I'm sorry. Who do you think you are, Pharaoh? Shout it. See? He said, who do you think you are? That's what Pharaoh shouted. Distracting the people from their work, their labor. Get back to your jobs. Go back to work. Right? We're going to give you some stimulus, and we're gonna give you unemployment and stuff. We're going to raise up the salaries. Get back to your job. The same day Pharaoh sent his order to the taskmasters, to the bosses, to the politicians and officers. He said over the people of Israel, don't give the people any more straw for making bricks. Don't give them no more stimulus. Don't give them no more unemployment for making bricks. However, don't reduce their production quotas. Make sure that they work harder. By Don't reduce their production quotas by a single brick, for they obviously don't have enough to do, or else they wouldn't be talking about going out into the wilderness and sacrificing to their power. Yeah, they all on social media. Uh, they at home. They're not listening to our mandates. They ain't taking our poison. It says load them with work, more labor, and make them sweat. That will teach them to listen to Moses and Aaron's lies. Hmm. So the taskmasters and officers informed the people. So they came out from the UN, from their town halls, their meetings, school board meetings, and so the taskmasters and officers informed the people. Pharaoh has given orders to furnish you with no more straw, no more stimulus, no more money, no PPP loans. Go find it wherever you can. Go find your mammon, your money wherever you can. But you must produce just as many bricks as before. So the people scattered everywhere to gather straw, to find labor and work, uh, and food. The taskmasters were brutal. Fulfill your daily quota just as before. They kept demanding. Come on, we got containers on the side of the oceans. We need truck drivers. We need you to do overtime. The unholy days is coming. The helly days are coming. Uh, uh, Fulfill your daily quota just as before. They keep demanding, or you'll be evicted, or you can't go to the hospital. You got to get this shot, jab. Then they whip the Israelite work crew bosses, right? The keepers, the coons. They whip the Israelite work crew bosses, the leaders over the children of Israel. Their own uh, leaders. They start whooping them. The work crew bosses. Why haven't you fulfilled your quotas? Where's my money? Where's the rent? Either yesterday or today, they roared. These foremen went to Pharaoh and pleaded with him. Don't treat us like this, they begged. We are given no straw and told to make as many bricks as before. They saying, how we gonna do it, master? We can't please you. And we are beaten for something that isn't our fault. They ain't taking the jabs. Uh, uh, you know, it is the fault of your taskmasters, for making such unreasonable demands. They don't want to work. They quitting. Uh-huh. But Pharaoh replied, you don't have enough work, or else you wouldn't be saying, let us go and sacrifice, give gifts to the Most High. Get back to work. No straw will be given you, no loans, no money, and you must deliver the regular quota of bricks. Oh man, I went on further, but I'm gonna read 19. Then the foremen saw that they were indeed in a bad situation when they met Moses and Aaron waiting for them outside the palace, and they came out from their meeting with Pharaoh. They swore at them, may the Most High judge you for making us stink before Pharaoh and his people. So those are the coons, the traitors. You know, they mad. You ain't take the job. You you ain't influence people to get it. Um, you making their jobs harder, and they using any black face that they can. It says anybody that has influence, make the Most High judge you for making us stink before Pharaoh and his people. They said, and for giving them an excuse to kill us. And then Moses went back to the Most High. Most High, he protested, how can you mistreat your own people like this? Why did you ever send me if you are going to do this to them? Ever since I gave Pharaoh your message, he has only been more and more brutal to them. So you know, that means that the message is being heard, that they're becoming more and more brutal to our people. The cops, the doctors, the politicians on both sides. And it says, and you have not saved them at all. But we know the Most High, he's going to save us. Exodus 7, and it says, then the Most High said to Moses, see, I have appointed you as my ambassador to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron shall be your spokesman. Tell Aaron everything I say to you, and he will announce it to Pharaoh, demanding that the people of Israel be allowed to leave Egypt. But I will cause Pharaoh to stubbornly refuse. He's not going to do it. And I will multiply my miracles, my wonders, my great works in the land of Egypt, of your captivity. And still, even then, Pharaoh won't listen to you. So I will crush Egypt, America, with a final major, with a what? With a final major disaster, calamity, ruin, destruction, and then lead my people out. The Egyptians, the Hamites, will find out that I am indeed the highest, the Most High, when I show them my power, his strength, his greatness, and force make them to let my people go. Let my people go. Let my people go. And that's all I got. And so, guess what? Let's read it again. I'll read both of them again. I'll read it here first. Uh, 13. And I'm gonna read 8. It says, and all mankind whose names were not written down before the founding of the world in the slain Lamb's book of life worship the evil creature. Those whose names were not written in the book of life of the Lamb killed before the founding of the world, that is regarded as slain in the eternal plan and knowledge of the Most High. So, and all mankind whose names were not written down before the founding of the world in the slain Lamb's book of life worship the evil creature. And anyone who can hear, listen carefully. The people of the Most High who are destined for prison will be arrested and taken away. Those destined for death will be killed, will be slain. But do not be dismayed, for there is your opportunity, your chance for endurance and confidence. Okay? So in the note it says, if anyone imprisons you, he will be imprisoned. If anyone kills you, he will be killed. All right? Well, let's read it correctly. King James Version. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, slavery. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And who are the saints? The saints are the Israelites and those who will serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right? So all praises to the Most High. Bless the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, all the 12 tribes and 144,000, and a large number that cannot be counted. Blessings, children of Israel, and hope you have a wonderful and beautiful Sabbath. Shalom.